All right, guys, welcome everybody to an exciting post Christmas, post number one seed overall episode of Under the Dome. I know kind of you had to kind of watch the show last week to know we were going to be on tonight, but with Christmas going on and New Year's the following Tuesday, we'll be on tonight and we'll be on next Wednesday night at 7 o'clock to try and keep you guys up to speed and still enjoy your holidays. I got some bowl game watching to do New Year's Day, so don't ask me to watch to do this show. I got to watch some bowl games.
Well, did you watch Louisiana Tech win their fifth consecutive bowl game the other night?
I am sorry. I can say I did not watch that game. I apologize. Nor did I watch that horrible Monday night game between Denver and Oakland that somehow Oakland kicked Denver's butt. I don't know.
They played last night?
No, they played Monday night, Christmas Eve. I watch. Let me just explain something in our house. Christmas Eve and Christmas Day is Christmas movie watching. We watch Christmas Vacation, A Christmas Story, It's a Wonderful Life, multiple versions of A Christmas Carol. We die hard. We watch Christmas movies, for 2 days straight. Charlie Brown Christmas, Santa Claus is Coming to Town, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Frosty the Snowman, The Year Without a Santa Claus. I mean, at 9 o'clock last night, I'm watching Mr. Magoo's A Christmas Carol. So that's kind of like what my viewing is like, for about 2 days. So then all those DVDs and Blu-rays get put away for a while. The Grinch, the original one, not the live action ones. All those DVDs get put away for a while, and then next Christmas they come out again, come day after Thanksgiving. So that's just how it works.
Christmas is not Christmas without watching National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, the original How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and A Charlie Brown Christmas. I didn't get to see Charlie Brown this year. My two little ones last night said, "Dad, it's Christmas. Can we watch The Grinch?" And I said, "Sure." And 2 minutes later, I'll look up and Jim Carrey's on screen. I said, "Wait, whoa. This is sacrilege. Why? What?" But, I let him do it. And then 9 o'clock this morning, "Dad, can we watch The Grinch?" No. That's gone for another 360 days.
Well, I was told I have it on VHS. I don't have it on DVD, but my son said, "Dad, we need to buy my 23-year-old son now. We need to buy Home Alone and Home Alone 2 on DVD so we can watch that in the Christmas marathon." So, the Christmas movie palette just keeps expanding. More and more. We got to watch more and more Christmas movies that are questionably Christmas. Batman Returns, I think, is now thrown in the mix because with Michelle Pfeiffer and Danny DeVito's The Penguin, and all that gets thrown in that mix too because it occurs during Christmas, so that's considered a Christmas movie. So,
Michelle Pfeiffer can be included 365 days, and I have a first cousin that could pass for her twin sister.
Do you really?
Yes, I do. Miss Marletta Holcomb. She, beautiful young lady.
And does she like Michelle Pfeiffer? Michelle Pfeiffer of the 1980s or Michelle Pfeiffer today?
Both.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Of course, I haven't seen Mara in a few years, but she always reminded me of Michelle Pfeiffer.
Good deal.
Let me pay the bills.
Yeah, why don't you do that before we get into
more
creepy territory?
We want to thank everyone for joining us tonight on Under the Dome. We welcome you guys to the post-traumatic event that was Christmas, and we hope that everyone enjoyed spending time with those that they love and all this and all that. But, hey, the business of being the 13-2 number one seed in the National Football Conference. That business goes on. We want to invite you guys to subscribe to our show on iTunes and on YouTube. And let's see where to begin. Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, your opinion, so that we can squash any rumors. Were the Saints aided by the officials on the pass interference in the first quarter?
Yes.
Yes, bad call.
But Eli Apple got called for a PI that I thought was an equally bad call. So they made up for it.
Yeah. Officiating, and this is strictly my opinion, officiating across the board this season has been been off the mark, inconsistent, and by my opinion, it hasn't been everything that it should be to uphold the integrity of the league. Now, that being said, if you play a game and you have to get to the end of that game and lose and say that call cost us the game, that's pretty weak. The Saints didn't do it in Dallas when in that pivotal drive, the head shot to Alvin Kamara wasn't called.
Mm-hmm.
When they had the opportunity to get a punt or force a fourth down on Dallas, and Cole Beasley was down like 4 yards from the first down mark. That's part of the game. You got to roll with the punches. Sometimes they get it right, sometimes they don't.
I say the same thing all the time, and
Yeah.
It's win or lose. It's not that the officials are going to miss a call. They're going to miss calls. And it's not that they call a penalty that really isn't a penalty that costs you the game. It's when those calls happen. The Alvin Kamara pass interference call that was, a bad call, that happened in the first quarter. That was the first touchdown the Saints scored. There was so much football left to play. You cannot point to that call and say, okay, that's the call that cost us the game. It's not. You can't say that. If they want to try and point to a call and say, well, this is the call that cost them the game, they could maybe point to the Michael Thomas that happened on second down or whatever, late in the fourth quarter on that final scoring drive. But again, that's a legitimate call. He held him. He grabbed him and pulled him down. It wasn't pass interference. It was a holding call. So even if they say, and play, by the way, on Thursday night on NFL Network at 7 o'clock Central Time. So if people want to go back and DVR the game and watch the game, just to go back to the plays, go ahead. But if my memory serves, that was a defensive holding call. So regardless, it's an automatic first down. It's 5-yard penalty. It's not a spot foul. And the next play, I believe, is the holding call on the Saints that makes it 1st and 20. Then 2nd and 20, you had Kirkland drop the pass. 3rd and 20 is when Kirkwood, sorry. And 3rd and 20 is the pass to Ted Ginn Jr. that gets the first down. So you have multiple opportunities to stop the Saints. So you can't just sit there and say, oh, well, the refs gave him this and the refs gave him that. Because there was so much football to be played, you got multiple opportunities still to make a play and make up for that bad call. So it's always when the penalty happens, not the penalty itself. And that's why the Alvin Kamara, which was on 3rd down against Dallas, matters more than the pain affected the outcome of the Steelers game. To me, You can't go for a fake punt and not get it. You can't fumble the ball twice in the fourth quarter when you're trying to win the ball game, including the last one when you had just gotten to field goal range to win the game. You can't do that. That's what costs you the game. It's not the penalties. The Kamara
turnovers.
Yeah, the Kamara penalty in the Dallas game. I'm sorry, the Kamara penalty in the Dallas game happened on third down. We had to punt, and they drove the length of the field. That affected our offense. Now we got the ball back, and we turned the ball over. So that's why I say that penalty didn't cost us the game. It just hurt us in that game.
The old saying about the NFL season is not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Mm-hmm.
And you have brought up innumerable times, you have made the point that it's more than having good players. It's more than having a well-rounded roster. It's more than setting records. It's more than doing this and winning games. It's also about catching breaks. And unfortunately, the nature of the game is some of those breaks are going to be on calls or on missed calls. Sometimes there's going to be a questionable call one way or the other, and it's going to go your way. Sometimes it's not going to go your way. There again, the Dallas game, the Cole Beasley play, 4 yards short of a first down, and they give it to him. And unfortunately, due to the way that you chose to approach it, you had no challenges left. It is what it is. And as far as that goes, just for the record, I have never made any excuses for the Dallas Cowboys beating the New Orleans Saints. They had a very specific, very defined game plan, and they executed it in probably about as flawless a way as you could hope for.
It's not going to work again, by the way. That will never work again.
Well,
you got it on film. Sean Payton's going to know. He's going to know what you're going to do. So he's going to come up with a scheme to defeat that.
Well, now that you bring that up, as we sit here, it appears, at least now, we've got 1 week left in the season. There's not going to be a whole lot of jockeying for position as far as the NFC playoff race goes. As it stands right now, the two top of the tier is going to be obviously the Saints and the Rams.
Well, wait, hang on. It's not likely to happen, but if the Rams were to somehow lose to, I think they play the Cardinals this week. I have to go back and look. That was one of the things I was looking up right before we went on the air.
So if the water boy starts for Jared Goff.
Yeah. Let me just double check that again real quick. But yeah, if the Rams were to lose, no, they played the 49ers. They played the Cardinals last week. So if the Rams were to lose the 49ers and the Bears defeat the Vikings, the Bears could go to number 2, and the Rams could fall to number 3 because the Bears they would finish with the same record, but the Bears beat the Rams head-to-head. So that's one position that could change. The other position that could change is the Vikings could fall out of the playoffs by losing, but having, I think, a few things happen. I think the Eagles have to win, and something else has to happen. I don't remember exactly what it was, but the Vikings, because of the tie, could possibly fall out of 6. But Dallas and the Saints, nothing will matter this weekend. They can't change. Dallas can't go any better than the 4th seed.
Okay, well, check me if I'm wrong here. You're like the guru on this stuff.
I just need to stay on top of this. It changes all the time.
Okay, so, well, and we're going to get into this in a little bit more detail shortly. As far as the New Orleans Saints are concerned, in the upcoming game, Week 17 against the Carolina Panthers, and Uncle Ralph playing quarterback. The New Orleans Saints cannot. There is absolutely no way whatsoever, inconceivable, nothing can affect positively or negatively their standing, their seating, anything with what happens this coming Sunday versus the Carolina Panthers.
Exactly.
Okay.
They can't.
Okay, well, that being said.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Indigestion. It's like, well, I don't think. Let me ask your opinion. Mm-hmm. Should, and knowing you as well as I do, I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this question. But what should the approach be for the New Orleans Saints going in to this home game against the Carolina Panthers, Week 17?
Mm-hmm.
If you, and I've never asked you this question before, and it's kind of giving me heart palpitations to say it now. You're Sean Payton.
Mm-hmm.
How do you handle this situation?
Okay, couple things going on. Number one, Breeze is like 8 yards passing away from 4,000 yards, which would make it, 12 or 13 consecutive years he has at least 4,000 yards passing. Ingram is 115 or 120 yards away from surpassing Deuce McAllister on the rushing all-time rushing record. Michael Thomas is like 20 yards or something small like that away from, I think the most yards by a Saints receiver in a season. So they're all very close to records. So here's my thinking when it comes to this. You treat this like preseason game number 2 almost. No, really. I mean, you put Drew Brees in for a series. Let him get his record. Let Michael Thomas get his record. Let Ingram try and get close to his record. You play those. You play one series. Breeze comes out, wrap him in bubble wrap. He sits there for the next 3 weeks. Michael Thomas then comes out. Ingram, I'm not sure about him, but you sit Armstead, you deactivate. Cam Jordan, you probably don't play him. You put you activate Trey Hendrickson in for this game. Your starting linebackers can be your regular 3. Then Manti Te'o comes in. Robertson comes in. We're going to see a Crawley sighting instead of Apple. You're going to get, PJ Williams maybe starting on the other side. That kind of stuff. You start rotating people. A lot of Coleman at secondary at safety.
Yeah.
The offensive line, Armstead never touches. You start with Bushrod at left tackle if he's healthy enough. If not, put Pete out there. Will Clapp at guard. Cameron Tom at center. You start rotating all these guys in there. And you kind of clear your bench out. Your receivers are going to be Kirkwood, Lewis, because the game doesn't matter. It's basically a preseason game. You want to protect your star players for the playoffs. That's the key. That's what we did in 2009. We did it in 2006 because we were locked in the second seed. We couldn't improve that. In 2010, if some of you might remember this, some of you might not. 2010, the Saints were trying to compete for a better seeding wild card race. And they ended up playing Pierre Thomas in that game. Pierre Thomas got hurt again because he was hurt a lot of the 2000. Pierre Thomas got hurt again. He was not available for the Seattle game the following week. And we end up with Julius Jones as our starting running back. I think Reggie Bush even got hurt midway through the first quarter. So Julius Jones is our running back.
Julius Jones was like a power forward for the Sixers, wasn't he?
No. Julius Irving was power forward. Dr. J. Julius Jones was number 21 for the Dallas Cowboys as a running back.
21 was Mike Bell. I'm sitting here watching the video. I'm sorry.
No, that's 2000. That's 2009. 2010 season. Mike Bell is gone. We brought in this is when Sean Payton tax because of the 2010 season. Because we went with Julius Jones. We went with who the hell was 46? God, let me see.
Hunky Guyjon. I'm sorry.
No, that was in the 80s. That was in the 80s.
Well, he was in the play-by-play booth and he was wearing number 46 jersey.
Yeah, let me see, because that was Pierre Thomas was hurt a lot of that season back in 2010. So yeah, our running backs were Julius Jones was 21, Chris Ivory, who played, that was his rookie year, and he got hurt. Liddell Betts, the running back from the Redskins, that was 46. He came in and played a few games. That was Keith Evans' final back. He retired after that. But Chris Ivory, he kicked Seattle's butt in the Superdome earlier that year. In fact, that was the one where Pete Carroll called him a beast and said, he was the one that beat him when they played Seattle earlier that season. And here's the killer. This is what's going to piss some Saints fans off. You go back to the 2010 season, the Saints desperately tried to trade with the Buffalo Bills right before the trade deadline for a running back. And the Bills instead sent that running back to Seattle for less than what the Saints were willing to give up to trade for him. You know who the running back was, right? Marshawn Lynch.
Beast mode.
Tried to trade for Lynch in the 2010 season to get him, because he had so many injuries, to get him on the Saints team so they could rely on him instead of guys like Liddell Betts and Julius Jones. So when beast mode run happened, that was double painful for Sean Payton, because they were so mad that Buffalo took less from Seattle than the Saints that, they're like, we could have had him. Beast mode would have never happened if we would have made that trade.
Just for the record, and my living nightmare for the past 7 years is that things are clicking, things are popping for the New Orleans Saints, and we find out that they're going to play a playoff game on my birthday, which, just for the record, it's a 3-week progression for me. Mm-hmm. You have Christmas this year, for example. On Tuesday was Christmas Day. 7 days later is New Year's Day. 7 days later is my birthday. The Saints played on my birthday a few years ago, and the last time that the Saints played on my birthday was the Beast Mode game. I have never approached my birthday the same way since. Every year that goes by, I think, oh, dear God, please, if there's any way possible in your infinite wisdom, could we not have the Saints have to play on my birthday?
They won't this year.
We were having a birthday party at my dad's house, and part of that party was watching the Saints and the Seahawks play. And, I mean, the Saints were killing it, and the Seahawks did not even belong in the playoffs. They didn't have a winning record, and oh, my God.
Yeah. Well, that 2010 team, so many things went wrong for them because injuries, the long season, the Super Bowl hangover they call it, and all those things went wrong, and it all added up. So, and the reason why I even bring that game up is because that influenced Sean Payton from that point on, and Payton views that can't improve your standings anymore, he wants to make sure that all these players are ready, because you only have to win 2 games to go to the Super Bowl.
That's right.
Need these guys for 3 more games, really, but 2 games definitely. Okay, so that's why I expect Kamara not to play. I expect Ingram to play very little, despite needing only 120 yards, I believe, to break Deuce McAllister's. Unless he is killing it, unless he's just wiping people out, I don't see him keeping him in there for a whole game. I just don't.
Well, there's the added caveat of a week ago we found out that the Carolina Panthers were going to bench Cam Newton to save his shoulder, get him fixed up and ready to go for the next season.
He's got the Aaron Brooks injury.
Huh?
I'm almost positive he's got the Aaron Brooks injury. I bet you it's an AC joint.
Yeah.
It's an AC joint in his shoulder and probably some rotator cuff damage, because you watch that game. We talked about this last week. You watch that game against the Panthers. As that game progressed, I'm like, this is deja vu. I am watching Aaron Brooks circa 2002 into the season when he was playing against Cincinnati. And he starts out throwing that football, and let's just say he's got, I don't know, 60 or 80 RPMs on that ball when he's throwing it. All right. By halftime in the third quarter, it's down to 40. And when we got to that final drive after that damn Lewis fumble, and that was a touchback, my wife's like, oh, God, they're going to be able to drive down the field. Here comes one big play. I'm like, nope, he can't throw the ball that far. He physically is unable to throw the ball that far. He's going to have to throw it checkdowns, and the Saints know that, and they're sitting on those routes. And they blitzed him because they knew he couldn't throw the ball that far. I watched the Saints-Carolina game in the Dome, that final game of that 2002 season, when people were chanting for Jake Delhomme to come in, because there's Jake Reed in the back of the end zone, and Brooks cannot throw it from, say, the 20. I don't remember the exact distance, but say the 20 into that end zone. He did not have the arm strength to get it that far down there, not with any RPMs. It was going to be this, flutter ball that was just going to just float right out there. Easy interception. He just physically did not have the strength. So, yeah, they had to sit Cam down for that very reason. Cam just does not have the upper body strength right now to drive that ball. It's his shoulder. It's his passing shoulder. It is what it is. It's not an insult on Cam. He just physically can't do it right now. But I'm sorry. I went on that rant, but that's how I knew we had this game won. So, yeah, now they're going to start their third-string quarterback because the other guy got hurt yesterday or the day before.
There's the pity Saints fan part of me that says, how in the hell you get your opportunity of a lifetime and you start for half a game and you go on injured reserve? But it is what it is. It's a dangerous game, and these guys.
Well, they need the roster space, so they got to put him on IR. Their season's over, so they need the roster space. That's why he's on IR. He's not really that hurt, but they need the space.
It's basically it's going to be a crapshoot as to given the Saints position where they're in. Excuse me. Given the position that the Saints are in, where they can basically control the situation, they can play who they want to play for as long as they want to play them, and given the Panthers' position where they're like going in and getting 3 cheeseburgers to go and seeing if the guy taking their order can throw a spiral.
I just call it dead man walking. They're dead man walking right now. I mean, they're going to lose. They could possibly lose 8 in a row after starting the season 6-2. They got a new owner. What happens? Do they fire the general manager? Do they fire the coaching staff? Do they start making wholesale changes on this roster?
Well, I'll be completely honest with you. Given the 4 teams in the NFC South, you look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, an absolute dumpster fire. I fully expect Dirk Cutter to be fired with the end of the season, and the new coach completely, excuse the terminology, completely shit can the whole Jameis Winston project and try to bring in somebody that can actually help that organization.
We just saw in the news. I don't know if you saw this or not. The Oregon quarterback's going back to the NFL for another. I mean, going back to college for one more year.
I don't blame him.
That was the number one prospect for quarterbacks. I think the quarterback draft class this year really sucks.
It does.
It
really does.
It's going to be really hard for Tampa Bay to jettison Winston because you ain't got much else out there. It's going to. This is a tough. This is why I think Bridgewater probably won't be a Saint next year because there's just so few starting quarterbacks available in free agency, and you have very little coming to you through the draft. So, this is going to be interesting to see what happens with these teams. But I'm sorry, go ahead. Tampa Bay's a dumpster fire.
Well, I mean, theoretically speaking, if you look at the results over the course of the 2018 season,
mm-hmm.
It's not completely outside the realm of possibility that you could be looking in the 4 teams in the NFC South. 3 of them could be making wholesale changes, be that from the coaching staff down for the upcoming 2019 season. The Atlanta Falcons. You're probably not going to see Dan Quinn supplanted yet. I fully expect there to be some alteration one way or another of this Steve Sarkisian offensive coordinator role in that. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I fully expect Dirk Cutter to be fired. And full disclosure, and I told this to our buddy Gene before, I believe that the only reason Dirk Cutter was retained for the 2018 season is because they could not convince John Gruden to come back to Tampa rather than going to Oakland. I expect Dirk Cutter to be Dirk Cutter to be fully cut loose within 3.5 minutes of the final horn on this week's game. And then that leaves the Carolina Panthers. And while you may not see a change with Ron Rivera, you're kind of, given the contract deals in place, you're kind of stuck with Cam Newton. And I'm not going to say that's a bad thing. But, I mean, if you go back over the course of our shows, you will see that I've maintained basically the same position on Cam Newton. Cam Newton is a phenomenal quarterback in the modern system in the effect that he's going to win you games. But at the same time, when pro football is much different than college football. College football, you're looking at a 2 to 3 year window. Pro football, you're looking at long-term effects. Cam Newton, at the rate that he's been going, and in all honesty and bluntness, the amount of abuse that Cam Newton allows to be imposed on his body, he's not going to last. If Cam Newton plays another 5 years at the level and absorbing the amount of abuse, the amount of hits that he's been taking over the past 5 years, that will be a miracle of all miracles.
You know, he's got to become a passer, and that's the thing. I don't care who it is. Cam Newton, excuse me, Cam Newton, Lamar Jackson, RG3, Steve Young, any quarterback that likes to run is going to eventually have to become a better passer and get the ball out of his hands because your body physically cannot take the punishment. And I think that's what you're seeing right now with Cam Newton with his shoulder and all the other injuries he's been having more and more recently. It's just your body can't take that kind of abuse. So I cannot see them at all dumping Cam Newton or anything like that. I think they probably go in a different direction in the coaching staff. I think Tampa does go with a new direction, a whole new coaching staff. I think Atlanta has some shakeups, Sarkisian gone, that kind of thing to try and turn that team around. But, for the most part, there's not a whole lot that teams can do because you got to look out there and say, okay, fine. If you're going to get rid of these guys, who are you going to replace it with? Who are you going to replace them with? And that's the issue you have to face all the time. Where is the next head coach coming from? Is it going to be an offensive assistant, a defensive assistant from some team? Who are you going to take it from? Are you going to take it from the Saints? I don't think so. Who else are you going to take these coordinators from? So you have to look at the college ranks. Who are you going to get in the college ranks? Well, you're not getting Nick Saban. You're not getting Urban Meyer. So where do you go for your coach, your head coach? So that's the issue some of these teams have. And we'll find out more on Black Monday. I'm sure they've been having these discussions, and Arizona's already said their coach is gone. It's all but a given. So, there's usually 5 or 7 coaches who get fired on Black Monday every year. So Cleveland's going to be looking for a coach. They got 2 vacancies already, 2 of the potential 5. Who the other one's going to be? We don't know. But going back, let's talk a little bit more because we didn't really talk much about the Saints Steelers game. The Steelers, talking about the playoffs and everything else, the Steelers played in desperation mode. I know a lot of Saints fans are really aggravated. Our secondary sucks. Offense just isn't doing enough out there because, we actually had to punt 3 or 4 times. But the Steelers were really in desperation mode because you know where they are right now. They're on the outside looking in because they have too many losses and that tie. They went from, if they would have beat the Saints, securing the AFC North title to now being in the hunt, like the Philadelphia Eagles, that they're going to have to require either the Colts or the Titans to lose and the Ravens to lose, as well as they're beating the Cincinnati Bengals to have a shot at going to the playoffs. So, yeah, that fumble by Juju Schuster really, really almost put an end to their season. That's why you saw the way they were playing that game. That's why you saw Antonio Brown, Juju Schuster play at the level they were playing. Big Ben played at the level he was playing. Because keep in mind, this team lost to the Raiders 2 weeks ago. They've blown games to the Chargers. They've blown games to the Broncos. You all right?
No, I'm bleeding. But
you okay?
I'm bleeding, but it's all for the show. Go ahead.
Okay, then. So before people get really frustrated with, is this team ready for the playoffs? Keep in mind that this was a game where the Steelers were a playoff game, that there was no tomorrow. So look at it from that standpoint. You made the plays you had to make in a game to win a playoff game. That's how that game was. That's how that game played out.
Yeah.
Defense forcing turnovers, Special teams making a key stop. Drew Brees throwing a 3rd and 20 pass to Ted Ginn. Which, welcome back, Ted Ginn. Thank you. You really helped out. It really mattered.
And I would go. I'm sorry to interrupt, but
no, it's fine.
Going into that game, I thought, I've told several people, if Ted Ginn is activated for the Pittsburgh game, he's going to be a decoy. He's just going to run some routes, kind of get up to game speed. And I've since learned that Ted Ginn, of every New Orleans Saints player versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, the PFF scale, whatever in the hell that means, he graded out higher than any Saints player.
Don't get me started on PFF because
you run 2 routes and you caught a pass on 1. Yay!
Well, I don't understand their matrix. They don't explain their methodology of how they grade a player. They don't use the all 22 out on Wednesdays. They send out these grades based on television broadcasts. They graded Will Clapp really, really high. And, Will is a young kid. He's the same age as my football with him over. Great kid, New Orleanian, that kind of thing. But Will Clapp got his ass run over for the blocked field goal. I mean, he did. There's nothing you can say about that. I mean, he just did. He needs a whole season of NFL outs to build his strength up, to get him in position to be a quality NFL guard. He's just not there yet.
You can again. I'm sorry to interrupt. You can take snaps against a practice squad, but until you get game reps, until you face the very best of the very best, your game is not going to be what it needs to be for you to be competitive on a weekly basis as a starter in the National Football League. You can break it down any way you want to, but that's just the way that it is. Until you face the very best competition that there is out there to face, there's no way that you can calibrate that in practice versus practice squad or whatever to accommodate for that. And guys like Clapp, Cameron Tom, all these other guys, until they face the caliber of competition like a Mac, like a Ndamukong Suh, until they face that kind of player, they're not going to be forced and they're not going to be pressed into a situation where they have to be that good.
Well, my thing is, how do you grade them? You don't know their responsibility. What are you using as your methodology? You're going based on, okay, he made a block, so that's an A. Really? Did he do what he was supposed to do in that play? You don't know that. You don't know what his job was in that play. I just don't like it. I mean, it's a tool. It's interesting, but to grade guys or for people to use PFF as some sort of Bible bothers me because it's just a mystery. It's like judging a guy based on an ACT score or an SAT score. How do you do that? Or based on their grades in school, it's an incomplete picture. It's a snapshot. Oh, Wonderlic. It's a lot like a one.
Okay, point of reference. I mean, you're making this point. What did you score on the ACT? If you don't mind me asking.
Good God, you got to keep in mind, this was years and years ago.
Okay, if you tell me I got 4 because there were 5 questions, I'm going to be pissed.
No. I think my score was a 21. I think that's what it was. I took it as a junior in high school. and that was good enough for college, and I was done with it. I never took it again.
Are you kidding me? You got a 21.
Yeah, first time I took it, junior in high school.
Okay,
one time I was done.
You've known me for 2 years. What would you venture to guess was my score on the ACT first time I took it?
23, 25, I don't know, 20, 17. I'm terrible at guessing something like that. I mean,
well,
I took it in 1984. I took it in 1984.
I took it in 1985. I took it in 1985, and I scored a 32.
32?
Yeah.
There you go. 36, I think, is perfect. No, it is. I think 36 is perfect. So, yeah. I mean, I did zero prep for it. I showed up, took the test. All the universities are open admissions anyway. It didn't matter. Like today, my wife does ACT tutoring. You know, today the score means everything. For me, I was junior in high school. What the hell? 21. 21, that's good enough. I'm out. I'm done. I came on a Saturday. I think I woke up an hour before the test and drove to school.
I mean,
it is what it is.
I took the ACT one time, and I was already a senior, which I was taking the test with people that had already taken it like 3 and 4 and 5 times, and I'm like, hey, I'm supposed to be here. I don't really want to be here, and you know, I didn't finish. I didn't like make Christmas trees with the answer circles. I did actually give my best effort. I scored a 32. And the only time that I spent on a college campus has been when I was convinced that I was a rock star and we were actually performing on the college campus. That's been pretty much it.
But, I mean, it is what it is. Like I said, we had open admissions, so I wasn't really that concerned about it. I just looked at it like, just another standardized test that, hey, whatever. I'm going. It's good enough. They don't care. So all that was, the only thing that's kind of disappointing, I ended up in the honors college when I started out college. But I made the dean's list my first 2 semesters, so what the hell.
Anytime I went to school and I made like the principal's list or the headmaster's list, it was it wasn't like as good a thing as you would get from initial reaction to, hey, I made the dean's list. No, dude, that's a completely different list. So going into these NFC playoffs, as it appears right now, with 1 week left in the schedule, it's going to be the Saints and the Rams with the first round bye in the NFC. The Saints with number 1, the Rams at number 2. Then you have your other 2 division winners, which are going to be Dallas and Chicago. That's already been determined. The only variable in the equation seems to be who is going to be the wild card teams. And if the season ended right now, that would be the Minnesota Vikings and the Seattle Seahawks. What matchups do you look at as being do you think that
here's where now, okay, Seattle's pretty much locked in at 5 because whether Philadelphia wins or I just had it a second ago. Let me make sure before I say this. They'll put it into the 6th seed, I believe. No, if Seattle loses, they could possibly get into the 5th seed because they got a better divisional record. It sucks. Okay, never mind. No, they have a better conference. They have a better conference record if they win. So, the Seahawks to a playoff spot. They cannot fall out. Only the Vikings and the Eagles are competing. Right now, the Vikings are in. So, if the season ended right now and we stay where we are, I like the way the playoffs are shaping up because you would have the Vikings going to Dallas to play the Cowboys, and the Seahawks. Play the Bears. The Vikings going to play the Bears, with the Vikings be the 6th seed, and the Cowboys and the Seahawks playing each other in Dallas. I would face the winner of the Cowboys Seahawks than Vikings Bears, and I think the Bears can beat the Vikings twice. I do. I think the Bears could beat the Vikings, and with the Bears staying at the 3rd seed, they would end up traveling to Los Angeles to deal with the Rams. Then you have the Rams and the Bears try and knock each other out, whereas we would play the winner of the Seahawks Cowboys. 2 teams I think we can beat because both those teams are built on the run. They run the football, and their defense is built to run. I know the Dallas Cowboys have a pass rush, but they're really more built to stop the run. And I think a healthy offensive line can handle both of those defenses. So,
yes,
especially in the dome, not on the road. I mean, we talked about this already with some of the calls they made. I don't think Dallas gets those calls in the dome. You know, they let them play a little bit more. And I think Dallas has a lot of harder time dealing with that. So I like the way the playoffs are set right now. Even if the Eagles were to surpass the Vikings and the Eagles slip it, I don't think the Eagles, so because I think the Bears play the Vikings this weekend, and I think the Bears have the opportunity to kick the Vikings out of the playoffs and not turn around and have to play them again the following week. I think that's what the Bears would like to do. Knock them out of the playoffs, and then deal with the Eagles the following week where they think they can beat them in Soldier Field. So,
boy, these rednecks are out here blowing shit up, man.
Oh,
don't tell fireworks in West Monroe.
Yeah.
You know what the last words of a redneck are? Hey, y'all, watch this.
Watch this. Yep.
Just a quick synopsis, strictly my opinion. You go of the six teams that I just mentioned being in the hunt for the NFL playoffs, or excuse me, the NFC playoffs. Okay, the Minnesota Vikings, we've proven that we can beat them. Case Keenum is not the answer for that team, and I said that when they chose him. You move up from there.
You mean Kirk Cousins, not Case Keenum?
Yeah, Case. Okay.
Case is in Denver.
Yeah, them too. You move up from that to the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks' bread and butter this season has been the run. They lead the league in rushing. And the Saints just happen to be toward the top of the league in rush defense. That doesn't really concern me. You don't have that wide receiver core that you once had with Russell Wilson. You have like Doug Baldwin, and that's pretty much it. And
Tyler Lockett. But yeah.
Well,
they're not the same team. They're not the same team playing in the Superdome versus playing in Seattle. They're just not,
No. And there's no way to adequately describe and to properly preface just how important that securing the number 1 seed, securing home field advantage. There's no way to say just how important that is, because we all know that the fan base for the New Orleans Saints is, let me see, rabid would be probably an understatement. And if you magnify that times 50, being a postseason situation, you may beat New Orleans in the Superdome in the playoffs, but you damn well better bring your lunch, and you're going to earn it to get it. Okay, that was the one team in the playoffs that seems over recent history that has seemed the Rams. We beat the Rams in the first half of the game. It was like what 35-3. They don't scare me. Chicago has a stellar defense, and their offense is like roll the dice and see what you get. Chances are you're going to crap out because you got Mitch Trubisky and running back by committee. The one team that concerns me, and God forgive me, and I'm going to get hate mail for this, but the one team that seems over the recent history seems to travel well to New Orleans and play well in that Superdome atmosphere is the Dallas Cowboys. Now, that being said, do I think that the Cowboys at present are going to be able to come into New Orleans and duplicate what they did Thanksgiving or earlier?
Yeah.
It was the week before Thanksgiving. Be able to duplicate
week after Thanksgiving. Week after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that's what I said. Be able to duplicate the success that they had against the New Orleans. No, I don't believe that. You basically, in playing the Saints before, you tipped your hand as to your game plan. Now, all that being said, you still got to go out on the field and do that and produce and be able to back it up. Long story short, I think that at this point, there is no more advantageous position for the New Orleans Saints to be in than where they are right now. But yet and still, they're going to have to go out on that field, and they're going to have to prove that and earn that and defend that. It's not going to be a given. But, at the same time, there's no better position for them to be sitting in as we approach the playoffs than what they're in right now.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, there is no easy road to the playoffs, and I don't want to make it sound like there is. The key, though, is do you get to play teams that you match up well with, especially at home? And yes, by securing the number one seed, you really do, because even the Vikings, who I really don't want to play again, but even the Vikings, they have a suspect offensive line. Kirk Cousins will make mistakes. I like the road that we have to go because I like not having to deal with the Bears or the Rams until maybe the NFC Championship game. You can get over that divisional playoff hump by playing a team that is not nearly as good as either of those two teams, a weaker team in the playoffs, in your first round. If you look at what we've had so far in our playoff history, we've been stuck in the divisional round because the teams we've been playing, the Seahawks in 2013, the Vikings in 2017, the 49ers in 2011, those teams that we played that weekend was right after we played a wild card game the week before. And we played all those teams on the road. And it just was not a good matchup for us to face right out the box. Now, granted, Seattle in 2013, that's a team, if I remember right, that one crushed Peyton Manning, championship team. The 49ers were a year away from going to the Super Bowl in 2012. In 2011, they were just on the cusp. They just had to make a couple adjustments, including swapping out the quarterback to make that Super Bowl run, but they were really that good that year. And the Vikings, of course, it was a fluke miracle play for them to win that game. We actually had that game won. We've talked about that game enough, but that's why I like the idea of like in 2009 playing a team like the Cardinals, because that was a team that played an intense wild card game. We were off the week before that game. They played, I think it went to overtime against the Packers. They were fit by the time they came into that game. I like that. That's what I want to see. I want to see a Cowboys-Seahawks game that maybe even goes to overtime, where the teams are physically exhausted when they come in to play the Saints in the Dome the following week. That's what you want to see in the playoffs. You want to get that win early, get to the championship game, and then all bets are off, because that's when you're playing. That's the intense game. That game will probably be more intense than the Super Bowl, because I think the NFC is just that much stronger than the AFC.
There's no team in the – and, you can call it arrogance, you can call it hubris, you can call it whatever in the hell you want, but there's no team in the NFC that scares me at this point. There's teams that I'm concerned about. I mean, you go back to 2009, you saw what the Cowboys did against the Saints. You go back to earlier this season, you saw what the Cowboys did versus the Saints. The Cowboys have a very, very, very underrated defense. But yet and still, win at this level, you're going to have a franchise quarterback. And let me take that a step further. You're going to have a franchise quarterback in conjunction with a completely in step, in sync offensive coordinator. And you don't have that.
You've got two teams that are pretty much on that level in the AFC. You've got Tom Brady, Bill Belichick in New England. They're always going to be the threat. And then you've got, I hate to say it, but you got Kansas City with Mahomes. The key, though, with the Chiefs, does Andy Reid screw them up? And losing Hunt and the inability of them to run the football with that kind of defense they've got, is that going to hurt them in the playoffs? And right now, I would say yes, but I would not be surprised to see them make it to the AFC title game. But they have a huge question mark. Can they overcome the lack of a running game? And can they overcome Andy Reid's conservatism in the playoffs? And I think that's the issue you have with them. And both of those teams, more so Kansas City, plays more to the Saints' weaknesses on defense. I do not look forward to Kansas City's offense against our defense, specifically our secondary, and Mahomes' ability to run around and extend plays, make plays with his arm against our front seven. I think we can beat them, because I think our offense is much, much, much better than their defense. And I think Sean Payton's way of beating those guys is, you're going to sit there on the sideline and just watch us rush the ball for 200 yards against your defense, because we're going to run that ball 50 times and control that clock and that time possession. And you're just going to sit. It's going to be a boring ass Giants against the Buffalo Bills in 1990 kind of Super Bowl, but that's what you're going to see. And Breeze is going to convert those long third downs and wear that defense out and beat you, because we have the better kicking game, better special teams. Well, we don't have a better returner than you can't get past that. But I mean,
no,
you're going to get a boring game of a lot of Mark Ingram and a lot of Alvin Kamara running all over your defense. And that's how I think a Kansas City Saints Super Bowl would play out. But I don't think Kansas City makes it that far because, quite frankly, I think the Evil Empire and Darth Sidious, also known as Bill Belichick, just does what he does, moves the Death Star into place, and just takes out these teams one by one because he's just so much smarter than the rest of those coaches.
The Darth Vader that is Tom Brady. Let me back that up. The Tom Brady that is Darth Vader. He kind of had a demise at the end of episode 3. Oh my God, we're rationalizing National Football League football by talking about Star Wars.
He did, but I'm just saying, when it comes to playoff time, you cannot count those guys out because they find a way to win. I don't know how the hell they do it, but they do it. They turn it on for the Super Bowl. And it may be Sony Michel. It may be Sony Michel running through them in the playoffs, but every one of those teams that are in there, I look at them the same way. They've got gaping flaws that Belichick can exploit. The Ravens, as good as their defense is, you got Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
And he's not a passer. They will attack Lamar Jackson and make him throw the football. It may be they only rush 3 or 4 people and just keep him in that pocket, but they make him throw the football and take away the run. Steelers, who knows if they make it. Kansas City, again, exploit that defense. And Brady can go head to head with Mahomes. The Chargers. Who knows what you're going to get out of the Chargers? Everybody had the Chargers going to the Super Bowl a week ago. They show up on Thursday night and they look terrible.
Yeah.
Or Saturday night. They look terrible. So who knows? I mean, that's the thing about the AFC. As long as you got the Patriots in there, that's who you got to go with every time because he's just that much better than everyone else in that division, in that conference. I don't know.
I mean, the rule of thumb is until you are Rick. I know this is beyond you, but we're going to go to your younger brother. In the words of Ric Flair, to beat a man, you gotta beat the man. Walk that aisle, style and profile. You got to.
You have to.
Until a team manages to accelerate their game, elevate their game to the level that New England is performing, it is what it is. For lack of a better way of putting it, I guess would be maybe until someone knocks New England off that perch, they're going to be there. And, you're an AFC team and you don't like how everybody, all you got to do is beat them.
Yep, you do. You do, but it's easier said than done. It is every time. All right. So have we covered everything? I think we have because we're kind of over our time again. I was looking just now, looking at the injury report for the Saints, and it is what it is. Half the offensive line didn't practice today. Bushrod has still got a hamstring problem. Warford didn't practice. Armstead, of course, didn't practice. I think even Pete didn't practice. It's going to be interesting to see how we approach this. I really think you won't see Armstead at all, but you probably will see the starters for a series or so. Breeze has already let out the bag that Bridgewater is going to play. Just a question of how much he's going to play. I would not be surprised, though, to see Taysom Hill actually take a series or so as a starting as a regular quarterback, not as a gimmick quarterback. Yeah. I think you'll see Taysom Hill and Bridgewater kind of alternate a little bit. I think they let Michael Thomas and Breeze get their records. I doubt they let Ingram get his record. Probably hand off a lot to Dwayne Washington. Very boring game. I will be at this game because I have tickets for it. But it is what it is. It'll be one of those games where, hey, I mean, it is. It is what it is.
No, I'm laughing because I referenced Ric Flair a while ago, and all of a sudden on the live chat, Danny Ulrich pops up. What are the odds?
Yeah, that's about right.
Hey, don't be ugly to Danny. Danny's
I'm not.
Danny.
Hey, I told the story. I already told one Christmas story with him losing his mind when we got the Atari system back in 1981 for Christmas. Just expect that was a big present. He was expecting that thing. He didn't get it. I didn't tell this story. This is the same Christmas. Okay, so somehow he opened the trunk to my mom's car, and he saw a tape recorder, which is something he wanted, a cassette tape recorder. Look that up, kids. Google that so you know what the hell that is. But a cassette tape recorder for that Christmas in 81. And what my mom and her sister did was basically my mom gave my aunt our list, and she took my cousin's list, and they just basically bought presents, for each other. So the presents we had at our house, because we were old enough, we could snoop around and find out what the hell we were getting for Christmas. That was the trick. That was going to be the trick of how to do it. So my brother opens the trunk and spots this tape recorder, thinking that was going to be his. And it was really my cousin Diane's. And boy, she got that. It wasn't out there Christmas morning, so he's waiting to see if it's wrapped or something. It's not wrapped up. And my cousin Diane gets a tape recorder, and my brother is losing his friggin' mind. That's mine. That's mine. You saw A Christmas Story with Ralphie and his brother, going on to every present. Hey, that's mine. Hey, that's mine. Oh, imagine the little brother, except losing his friggin' mind, pissed off. That's mine. That's mine. And my cousin's like, what the hell's the matter with you? I saw that in the trunk. That's mine. They get a tape recorder that Christmas, but it wasn't the one he spotted in the trunk that he had his heart set on. That was the one he was getting. My brother was famous for, Christmas and expecting his presents. And, my parents would always tell the story. Just as my parents would close their bedroom door to go to sleep because they set everything up for Santa, that was like the trigger for my brother's eyes to pop open. And boy, he had to go out there and see what the hell he's got under the tree. And it was like that is in most of his
okay. I'm a little brother. I'm a little brother, and we will not have any Daniel abuse on this show.
No, I'm not abusing him. He'll tell you that's how he was too. Alan, Santa Claus came. It's 5:30 in the morning. Alan, Santa Claus came. Yeah, but we can't get up. That was the rule in our house. No noise before 7 o'clock. 1976, I think that was the Christmas. Yeah, it had to be the Christmas of 75, going into the 76 year. My brother got a big wheel for Christmas. And oh my God, he was losing his mind. He's riding up and down the hallway at 5:30 in the friggin' morning, riding this big wheel. And if you remember those cars, those big wheels, they had a little plastic strip. Again, big wheel. Google that, please. A little plastic strip that went in between the tires. The tires had grooves in it. So when you would ride it, it goes. You can hear it as it's clicking. So you got that sound going up and down the hallway because my brother was so excited. He couldn't wait to get outside with this thing. They got a picture of him riding this, huge smile on his face. He's got a big wheel. I got a record player, so I was just as happy. I got record player and records, and that was my Christmas. I was thrilled. 1975, so you can imagine what records I got that year.
I'm your boogeyman.
That is close. It was Casey Sunshine Band. I had shake, shake your shake, 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 shake your booty.
Shake, shake.
And that's the way I like it. Those are the
Shake
245 on TK Records. And I still have those records. Yeah. Yep. Those are the ones.
No. KTEL.
No. I had KTEL albums, but the company that the studio that he went to make and to produce these albums or these records was TK Records. Yep. TK Records made those. But KTEL Records, I have those too. I have KTEL Records. So, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I know.
We've given everything but like a chronological account of Noah and the Ark.
Christmas in the 70s, man. I'm just telling you.
Yeah, well, you know. We thank everyone for joining us on Under the Dome tonight. We invite you once again to subscribe to our show on iTunes and on YouTube. We love each and every one of you collectively, individually. And, you know, I just had the thought, was that as creepy as it sounded? We love you guys. Without you, there would be no us. And we would like to wish the best holiday wishes. We hope that Christmas is everything that you hope for and everything that it could be for you. A week from now, you're going to be either celebrating or hungover from New Year's Eve. And then a week later is going to be like Black Tuesday. But, you know, next week, our programming alert coming up. Once again, next week, we will be going Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time on Wednesday because of the New Year's holiday. We don't want to force anyone that follows us to have to choose between us and whatever else is going on. And you know, this being, oh wow, how profound. This being the last broadcast of our second year. Wow. That's heavy. The last broadcast of the 2018 year, I want to say thank you to our diehards that are on our live chat that support us each and every week. Jerry Poor, Anna Millett, Chad Parfait, Calvin Griffin. Each and every one of you guys, you'll always have a special place in my heart because you support something that means a great deal to us and something that we try hard to make for you guys. It means a lot to us because we know that it means a lot to you. This is our show, but it's just as much it's your show. And we thank you so much for your undying and endless support. I want to say one last thing. This has been a trying holiday season for me, and you know, it is what it is. There's one very special friend that took it upon themselves to make everything better, so to speak. I'll put it that way. And they managed to take a really bad situation and make it a lot better and put a smile back where it belonged and where it had been missing for far too long. And I thank you very much for that. You'll never know fully just exactly what that means to me. And I want to say thank you. One of these days I'll get to fully address the deal, but at this point in time, that's plenty. We invite you guys to once again follow us on iTunes, follow us on YouTube at Under the Dome, at Under the Dome PO1. I am at Drew's Dad 3721 on Twitter. You can find all of our follow information on the link provided for the show tonight. And from here, it gets real.
Yep. Second season starts 2 weeks from now.
That's right. We need to rest our guys. We need to get ready. We need to get focused, and we need to get healthy. And as to recap what I said earlier, you're never going to be in any better or any more advantageous position than you're in right now. Let's do this.
Yep, absolutely. Enjoy the unofficial 5th preseason game on Sunday, and then go and watch the first round of the playoffs. Not with the idea of, okay, I got to cheer for this team, I got to cheer for that team. Just watch to see how the intensity level picks up, and trust Sean Payton and trust Drew Brees. They will be focused to win that first playoff game and get to that NFC title game where it's all new, all different. We haven't seen an NFC title game in almost 10 years. This is when it all comes down. These are the games that matter. And you will see guys like Armstead play through injuries. You will see guys, barring any type of major injury like broken leg, torn ACL, that kind of stuff, you will see guys push themselves that extra step. I am fully confident that Teron Armstead will be there for the entire Super Bowl run this year. And we're not going to lose because we lost. We didn't have this guy playing, didn't have that guy playing. This is why we got that first round bye. This is why we have it coming through the dome. Be there, be loud. I was there in 2009. I hope to be there again this year for these 2 games because it is unbelievable what just the volume level is going to be like in there. So,
well,
enjoy.
Oh, damn, I forgot it. I lost my train of thought with. I was listening to you and thinking, focus. Oh, where'd it go?
Sorry.
It is what it is. It's not Alzheimer's. It's just sometimers.
There you go. There you go.
Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. We invite you to be back with us next Wednesday night, 7 p.m. for Under the Dome. We love you guys. Thank you for your support.
Absolutely.
See you next week.
Yeah, I'll have New Year's Eve stories to tell you then, too. Good night, everybody.